Hi guys.
Hello.
Welcome to Ed Arlene's Spirit Cast. If you're new to this podcast, we talk about all things related to mindfulness, magic, tarot, astrology, meditation, Reiki, basically anything in that realm. And today we are talking about the Primal Soul. We're going to take a little bit of a deep dive into that. This is actually going to be a 3-part series. We want to go over each part of the soul because you hear a lot about like your ego and your higher self and all that. But we thought it would be cool to actually like break it down and give you a little more information about all of it. And for this series, we're actually going to reference a specific book that we're getting some of the information from. And we'll have that link down below. We thought maybe we would start putting the books in the episodes more. And this is actually going to be a deep dive in this specific book and their take on those 3 elements of the soul. And the book is by Devin Hunter, and it's called The Witch's Book of Power.
Phenomenal book.
It's great. You don't have to be a witch to
appreciate the information within it.
So that's one thing. We're really open to like all different types of books. So I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I'll read anything.
Well, you don't have to identify as a witch to appreciate the knowledge that these these teachers are dropping on us.
Yeah.
Like, Devin Hunter is a phenomenal resource, and this book was more than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, it's
like
so
for you
cool.
too. Like
yeah.
you were like calling me up, like, oh my god, and this is what got you to want to talk about the
Primal Soul. Just because there's a lot of different like words for it, a lot of different takes on it, and he laid it out very clear. And I really appreciated that he did the 3 parts of the soul, and he was very specific in outlining what they do, and it just wasn't like this metaphysical or magical book that threw out these like terms without allowing the reader to have more clarity on it. Even if you are familiar with it, it's nice to have it like really like broken down, or like where it's coming from, or what part of, it'd be like us talking about, talking about the chakras and then not saying, oh yeah, your root chakra.
We're talking about Reiki. You don't know what the heck Reiki is.
I don't know how to say it. Like,
I think in the beginning he says like this is the book that he would have wanted at the beginning of his journey,
his spiritual
journey. So he does a really good job of breaking it down in a way you can digest easily, and it doesn't seem foreign.
Oh yeah, for sure. And he's very like it's very nice. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just saying
it's a great book. It's a great book.
I've been enjoying it very much, and I'm taking my time with it and going through each, portion, specifically rereading, how you do. And we decided we're gonna start breaking down books.
Yeah.
That we like taking certain elements and things that we learn in the episode and like being very clear about this is the book we got it from. So our next book, we're probably going to do a discussion of the game of life and how to play it, because I'm currently obsessed. And if you're into law of attraction, you'll be really into that. But this goes well above the law of attraction. Like that book is the secret, what the secret wishes it was.
Yes, it is what the secret wishes it was. And it's a great book. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, 2 episodes from now.
Yeah, at a later date, we will go into this amazing book, but right now we're talking about this. So
before we get into it, we want to remind everybody to follow us on our social media. Instagram at @EdArlene.
It's all linked below.
Yeah, Twitter @pro_PGH. Become a patron if you want. We have Reiki videos. We post them about every day almost.
Yeah, at least like Monday through Friday. For the most part, we have that on YouTube. It's linked below. You can sign up for our email list and get free Reiki once a month. Yeah. And then we do have Reiki services available if you would like to get a distance session from us. That's on our website.
It's donation-based.
Donation-based Reiki. And what else am I forgetting?
That's it.
Is it it? Oh, Reiki. We have Reiki at the end of the episode.
Oh, yeah. At the end of the episode, we have Reiki. So if you want to have, the juice, just hanging
for the end.
Please don't skip, but if you feel like you want the Reiki first, go right ahead.
Go right ahead. Do whatever the heck you want, whenever you want.
All right, so we're going to have this Anchor ad.
Yep, let it go.
And then we'll get into the episode.
Yep.
This is not an Anchor ad. That means you are listening to this episode on YouTube. If you're enjoying this podcast, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Our podcast is available on all major podcast platforms, including Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Okay, let's get back to the episode. All right, we're back. He has this quote at the beginning of the Primal Soul chapter, and I think it's really cool. I think it really sums up what we're going to be talking about. So it's by Andrew Cohen. The soul, which I'm defining as our capacity for these deeply positive human qualities, is something that in most of us desperately needs to be developed. Too many of us live in a fractured state, deeply divided against ourselves, often far more so than we are aware or able to feel. We exist in a self-generated vacuum of moral ambiguity where everything is relative and our attention is focused mainly on our emotional state. Most of us know a lot more about what really matters when we're willing to live up to it. I love this quote because it's referring to how we have these parts of us that we will ignore and we don't try to develop or don't try to heal because we're so consumed with fulfilling like a societal expectation for us, and that really gets us into the primal soul, because at the core your primal soul is your natural state of being, pretty much, you know, in a very short like answer. So we have three parts of our soul, and there's various names for them in different traditions. You might have heard them as like ourselves, but in Devin Hunter's book, he has the primal soul, the ego soul, and then the higher soul, which, you hear like your higher self, so that might be how you're more familiar with hearing those terms. In this other book that we're reading, it's called The Subconscious, Conscious, and Superconscious. So there's a lot of different takes on those three aspects, and each one of those has a very unique frequency and set of powers that helps to, helps us survive and live and deal with life, and has different components that make up us. And if one of them's out of whack, it can like throw off everything, and often we'll just walk around with like one out of whack because we think that's like how we're supposed to be, and wonder why we're in like a weird like place or emotional state or headspace or whatever you want to say or call it. But anyways, the primal soul, it sits at your root chakra, and it's like, you might have heard of the Kundalini energy, so that's kind of like the primal soul's like area, It's like an energy.
We said like we walk around with like this state, like one of them out of balance, and with that state, that would be like anxiety and depression. Like we just accept it. Mm-hmm. But he says like right here, anxiety and depression onset when the primal soul is exhausted.
Yes, yeah. So we're not saying that is the cause of one's anxiety
or
depression,
not at all.
But we're saying that it can, if it is exhausted,
it can contribute to that manifesting. But okay.
So it's the energy at the lower portion of our physical. It acts as a factory producing the life force energy that we experience. If we're feeling worn down, lost, exhausted, confused, or overwhelmed, it may mean that our other souls are drained of their life force energy and our primal soul is in overdrive. So sometimes whenever the other two souls are not as healthy, so what'll happen is when one of them or two of them are out of whack, the other one will try to make up for that energetically. So if your other two are being neglected, your primal soul will have to take the reins. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, but our primal soul is concerned with our primitive needs like eat, sleep, sex, security. It's connected with the earth. It's the wild part of our soul. Many mundane problems we experience is because of the abuse of this part of the soul. So this is what's interesting to me about the primal soul. So your primal soul is like where you're comfortable, where you're safe, where you like want to be, just how you are naturally. Like you naturally like, I don't know, like you like to wear black. This is just a really basic.
Yes,
like,
I love to wear black.
No, I'm just saying, okay, so that's your natural state. Like you get up and you put on black, and then let's say you go outside and everybody's telling you shouldn't wear black, but you want to wear that color, but you have society telling you that it's not acceptable, then that is going to affect that primal soul, if that makes sense. You understand what I'm saying?
Makes sense.
Like,
it's like you want to, like, you have this natural inclination to be something or do, like, be a certain way, but then you're being, the external forces are telling you that you can't, and it's wrong.
Exactly.
So you suppress that desire, whether that be like you want to go be a chef and you can't be a chef because you're told you
because your parents want you to be a doctor.
Yeah, your parents want you to be a doctor. But the black thing's great. The black color.
I was trying to make it like as very basic as possible, but you can see it. So another example of where the primal soul will be affected is like the idea of, say, slut shaming. We see that a lot with women in society, that women are not supposed to be like sexual beings, and then they resist that, and it ends up affecting their primal soul. So you can see different societal components, like throughout history and just in our current state of being, there's always something of, society telling you shouldn't do something or be a certain way, and assuming you're not doing any harm, there's limits. This is like your just basic, like, natural way of being, and society telling you can't do that, and then you neglect that aspect of yourself, and it just wreaks havoc on who you are until you're able to heal it and break through. So that can be, like you were saying, with job, like you know to the core that you are an artist, but society tells you cannot be an artist. So then you become a doctor and you're fucking miserable. That's like a neglect of your primal, or food. You can do food too, like not eating things that you enjoy, like just not eating because you want to be skinny would be neglecting your primal soul, or the other way around. And these are like extremes. So it's, of course, if you're on a diet, like a natural diet, you're being healthy, like you're helping your primal soul. But like if you are forming an eating disorder because of the societal pressure, you're affecting that primal part of you.
You're not doing it for your well-being. You're doing
You're not doing it for your well-being. Yeah. So it's like, that's a good way to say it too. Like, you're not doing things for your own well-being. You're doing it for...
Yeah, that's like the best. That's perfect for it. Do things for your well-being and your mental and emotional health.
Yeah. And so our society in general, for some reason, we repress the primitive nature. Like, we restrict it, or there's no balance between the ego and that. And it can alter the way we perceive the divine. So everything's connected. So if your primal soul's out of whack, it can affect your ego, because then your ego's telling you have to do this a certain way. Your ego's telling you all this stuff to accommodate the survival aspect, and then it affects your perception of the divine and your connection to your spirit. When I read that, I was like, oh gosh.
Well, you can see it, like, you can see it how our society's set up this way to purposely throw things out of whack.
It's bizarre, and
it's terrifying.
Yeah, it's really scary.
The layers to this stuff is like really intense, but it's so simple. Like, just having this knowledge, like knowing that just be in balance, have all your souls in balance, can make a world of a difference. Yeah, it's so simple. We overcomplicate things. Yes. Like, if you actually acted the way you wanted to and did what you wanted to and lived the way you wanted to, you're in flow. You're in flow
if you're doing everything to your truest self, and
to the extent that you can.
Yes. It's living authentically, and it's, ways that you affect your primal soul is whenever you're not doing what makes you happy. And to clarify again, there are, we're being realistic. We're not saying, like, oh, you want to eat cupcakes all day because that's what makes you... No, we're saying, like, just living. Like, taking the time to do things that you like. If you want to take a walk in the park, take a walk in the park. Yeah. Don't repress that desire to go for a walk because, because somebody says that you shouldn't take a walk today, or if you... it's just like being true to the things that you want to do. Like, if you want to pursue a career in something, what's holding you back? If you want to live the dream life that you've always wanted, you have to release those societal constraints that we all allow for ourselves. And this can be in the perception of self. So, like, what we view as being beautiful within ourselves. Often society tells us there's a certain standard of beauty, and then we end up... Prior to knowing that, we thought we were beautiful until something outside of you tells you that aspect of you isn't. So then instantly your primal soul is being affected. Mm-hmm. Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy.
And you can see it in your life. Like,
What did I see? It was like a tip from a psychologist. And it was saying how we assume things, this is a little bit off topic, like we assume things are going to be a certain way, or we don't do things because we're told from somebody else that we can't.
Yeah.
But who told you that? Like you are the ultimate decider of what you do and who you are and how you live your life. But you're just taking that on because someone said it was wrong.
Exactly.
Or you couldn't do it. When deep down you can. I don't know where I'm going with that.
No, I mean, you're going with the idea that you're not, like, you're neglecting this aspect of yourself because of
you lose yourself. Do you lose yourself? And if people, like, I'm actively working on that right now, is, like, finding my zest for life again. That sounds crazy. Like, you know, the childlike wonder. Like, when did we lose the joy of existence? It's because I lived my life for other people. To people please and put my needs in the background.
Yeah. So, like, the Primal Soul, very connected to the earth. So if your Primal Soul's out of whack, it might feel disconnected from everybody and everything. We're part of the planet. So we wonder why, like, we're destroying the planet. It's because we're not perceiving ourselves as being a part of this earth. And
the illusion of separation.
Yes, and then in turn we're all connected. And the Primal Soul actually has, like, a lower frequency, so all of our soul levels have, like, a frequency, and I'm pretty sure that is connected to sound healing. So there is, like, a component, like, you can do sound therapy to help, like, balance that primal energy. And then each soul has an auric field. So the primal layer is the outmost. So this is the layer where you're aware of your surroundings at all times, and it's responsible for the feelings you get when someone is staring at you. So, like, you know, is that crazy?
I'm sorry. In my head, I instantly thought of, like I got my eye on you, like, you know, like that feeling you get sometimes, like when we were able to go outside and be normal. You can feel that person, like, staring in the back of your head.
So that's that auric field from your primal soul that is outermost. According to Devin Hunter. And it's in charge of the collective sensory and psychic data that comes in. It's the part of you that feels. That's, like, the part of you that really, like, feels things and, like, knows things. So ask yourself if you can feel your magic. Okay, so that gets me on to if you are doing, like, a magical practice or manifesting, it's a lot easier if your primal soul is balanced, because you need to be able to connect and feel what you're doing. So you want to tap into that energy, and you're tapped into it if you can feel the magic that you're doing. Like, if you're doing a spell, if you can feel it, that's how you know. Or any, like, like you're doing a list to manifest. Like, they always say if you're doing affirmations, you have to feel it. So part of that feeling, it wouldn't hurt to check in with the primal soul. Okay, I'm not feeling it. Maybe I need to, like, figure out why.
Well, as soon as you said, like it's your feeling, in my head I thought, okay, feeling, and then I could literally feel my auric field right now. So you said that?
Yeah.
Because you forget to tap in.
Yeah. So, I thought that was, like, really cool. There was something else that I thought was really interesting. Okay, so the key words for the primal soul are feeling, emotion, life force, and survival. It's responsible for power and the part of us that feels and makes it vital. So it's, like, vital for manifesting. But you want to use all three of your souls for magic and manifesting. It's just you don't want to neglect one over the other. And you definitely want to tap into that primal energy. So the animal totem for it is the snake, and that's connected to the earth. And you can use, like, traditional images of it, or, what have you.
So the primal souls are natural instincts. It's the awareness, essentially, right?
Okay, so yeah. So our primal soul is that. It's, like, our natural state of being, like, just you being without the influence of everything else. That
external.
Makes sense. Yeah, it's just, like, kind of like, you need to sleep, you need to eat. That's, like, primal soul stuff. Like, this is what I need for my survival.
Like, you breathe just because.
This is what I need to feel. And then we for some reason pick and choose certain things from that to repress. Like, you're not, you have to do certain things a certain way, and that affects the primal soul. So there's like a lot of shamanic traditions you can do to like help it. Medicine for Primal Soul teaches you to bring the darker parts of your shadow self into alignment with the brighter aspects of your lighter self. So that's something interesting about that. The Primal Soul seeks harmony with the environment. To do so, one must have internal and physical harmony. So the shadow self comes into play with the Primal Soul healing because a lot of the aspects of ourselves that we don't like are connected to that Primal Soul, as we were talking about before. Like, you know, you don't like this natural way that you are. It's a shadow. It needs to be healed and brought to the light. And that natural state is a primal part of you. So by doing the shadow work and healing it, you're helping to balance and heal your primal soul. So the goal is to seek harmony internally and then physically outside. We should not hold resentment towards any part of ourselves because the souls are listening. So the thoughts that we have about ourselves affect us on a soul level and energetically. So an example, problems pertaining to the primal self seeking security or shelter must be met with understanding in order to remove any shame attached to it. So shame is another thing that can affect the primal soul. Working with a primal soul teaches us to be more accepting of who we are. Heal wounds by recognizing them, taking responsibility, and then sending unconditional love. Ways to empower the primal self are through dancing, sex, exercise, eating, and just overall being healthy. And then you can do charming of the snake to help heal it. So it helps heal and maintain the primal soul. It involves casting a circle and dancing around a fire nude. It's very
old school witchcraft.
So I realized this, like the imagery that you see, you know, like whenever you see like illustrations and stuff like that of witches, they're like a bunch of women butt naked dancing around a fire.
Yeah, it's what you always see, like, you know, Pilgrim Days, like any depictions of that movie, The Witch.
Yeah.
You know.
So that's like primal soul healing. They might have been doing some other stuff. You know, I don't know what they were doing, but you know, at a basic level, they might have just been working on their primal soul. So the idea of being naked helps you release your ego and helps you to love your body and to not have shame with your body, because that shame is what's affecting your primal soul. And there are some people who like to practice magic.
Dan, if you're listening to this, we're gonna go to the woods and dance naked or on fire in the fall.
Good gosh!
Anybody who wants to join? We can do this.
You want to do a group nude?
I don't know. I'm kind of down.
Okay. So, if anybody would like to join Arlene, send us a DM.
In a non-sexual way. It's going to be strictly to strip away the ego and to get in one.
Well, people might have sex because that
maybe
helps
if it's fun. I don't know. This is getting a little weird.
You're turning this into an orgy.
I'm turning this into an orgy if you're down.
Okay, anyway, some people might do that to help balance out
let's just rewind that.
So back to what I was saying. So that involves casting a circle and then dancing around a fire naked, and that old imagery that you see that, you know, witches dance around naked around a fire, there might have been some magic stuff happening, or they might have just been balancing that primal soul. Now, being naked, like as I was saying before, Arlene decided to propose an orgy. Being naked helps you to like shed your ego, and it helps you connect more. So there are some practitioners who actually like to do magic in the nude, and that is why. Now, if you don't want to be naked out in the woods with a big fire, you can also do it in your room, cast a circle and light a candle and dance to your favorite music. The music is not important. What's important is that you're dancing to music that you really, really like. And being naked is optional. If you're in your room, it's probably fine. You're probably comfortable there. You want to be comfortable. Caring for the primal soul involves doing check-ins. Are you caring for your basic needs? Are you eating healthy food? Are you doing self-care? Are you doing things that you like? You know, what are you doing in your life? And that's how you can tell if there's certain issues. And as we said before, they're all connected, and you can also check in on your emotional state and things like that. Now, signs that your primal soul's out of whack is you'll feel low energy, feelings of loss or hopelessness, dis-ease, or extreme cravings. Because the cravings, I would assume, are because you're neglecting certain things that you want and repressing it, so then it's making you, like, crave it. You know.
It's interesting. I feel like a lot of people listening to this are going to relate and be like, I am right now, like, damn, I need to get my Primal Soul in order.
Yeah. So, some people will do, like, a shamanic practice of visiting a totemic frequency of the serpent. So that's one of the things. There's also, like, a tree of knowledge trance. So, like, a recap, it communicates via urges, cravings, and feelings. That's how that part of our soul communicates. It's connected to the deepest parts of our genetic heritage as humans. Its connection to the ancestors and to the earth itself. It's responsible for the production of life force energy, energetic blood for our etheric anatomy. It acts as a powerhouse for all three of the souls. And then, so you can see if that is neglected, you can see why you would feel like very drained, because that's like the powerhouse. Or if it's an overdrive and you feel really like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. And another thing I want to like mention is that a lot of times some people will have imbalances in the other two souls. And they'll have the primal soul, like, be the main decision maker. And I want to point out, this is how, like, we operate, people operate. Like, would you want your primal soul, your basic instinct, making the decisions for you? Like, the life decisions. Like, who you marry, you know, like that. No, you wouldn't. And that's why it's important that, like, you would want your higher soul to make that decision, I would assume. Like, I would want the higher soul to make the decision about my major life choices.
But so, because they're out of whack, people will operate
out of that primal.
Primarily out of one or the other.
Yeah, we will operate out of
one of the three.
One of the three. So, would you? Well, when we talk to the other ones, you're gonna be like, whoa, like, because there's certain things that certain parts of you are supposed to make choices for you, like, not one making all of your choices. And so you can see how there can be, say, political unrest because you have a segment of the population that's extremely fearful, or, you know, like, all kinds of stuff. Like, because we're all operating at these different, like, frequencies and different, you know, and if you're not even aware of, like, how to balance that aspect of yourself, it sounds like a shit show.
If you do say so.
If I say something else. And so, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. It's like where our soul, according to Devin Hunter, is like fragmented into the three. Now, depending on what tradition and what you subscribe to, there might be different names for it. There might be more than just the three. I know I've heard of like higher self type things. So this is not like, we're not saying this is like a rock solid set in stone, but this is a really good foundation.
This is one way to understand.
Balance. Yeah.
It's just one understanding of it, which is cool.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning of this, he talks about the, kind of like the, I'm not saying it's like the chakras, Eastern chakra system, but it's,
well, he said that he learned how it's all connected. So your chakras are connected to this base
it's like
soul.
One layer of it. Not unlike the Eastern chakra system, the model of the etheric anatomy many of us work with is comprised of three parts. Yeah. So, but there's layers to it. Cool.
So that's your primal soul. So our next episode will be the ego, and then after that will be the higher self. So you get a more complete idea of how they all work. If you have any questions about the primal soul, you can definitely hit us up, you know, Twitter or anything like that. And it was really eye-opening for me because I actually did a meditation I've talked about on the podcast before I got into everything. Yeah. I did this angel meditation, and I was told that there were three multiple levels. He said there was the higher, the middle, and then the lower soul. And it's funny because it's all like coming together. So this was prior to having any kind of metaphysical like deep dive like where I'm at now. So it instantly made me think of that. But the way he breaks this down with primal, ego, and higher, I think, is a little bit more cut and dry for a lot of people.
It's easier to understand from a Western standpoint.
Yeah, and then you hear a lot of terms in the metaphysical community. You're hearing a lot of different terms thrown around without it being like simplified, and without it being defined. So then the ego becomes the catch-all for everything that's at a base level primitive aspect of ourselves, and then the higher soul ends up becoming the catch-all for anything beyond that. And there's more to it.
There's more to everything.
Yeah.
That's funny. It's like when we said the layers to it, it's like the information finds you when you need it.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, I feel like sometimes the universe will like dip a toe and then like you'll get the answers a year from now, 2 years from now, 5, 10 years from now.
Well, they don't perceive time to
no.
like the way we do. Like if you're seeking like information from a non-physical being, their perception of time is completely different. They're looking at it like all at once. So for them, it's not a big deal. But for us, it can be years before it comes together. So then you're like, why? And then like shrug. You got when you needed it.
Yeah, literally. It all comes in divine timing. Yeah. I think it's like people, like I've seen a lot of people get upset about like manifestations not coming through or whatever, and then all of a sudden it comes out of nowhere. It's like, because that's when it was supposed to.
Yeah. I mean, manifesting is like a whole other...
That's a whole other ballgame. We'll cover some of that in the Game of Life and how to play it.
Yeah.
But, yeah. This is interesting. So, I'm excited for the next one. You guys are going to be very cool to break down.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. So, yes, stay tuned for Reiki if you're into it.
Thanks for listening.
You want to make sure that you're not driving or operating machinery because Reiki might make you tired. We'll actually have a Primal Soul healing linked below.
Hell yeah.
If you would like to do a meditation to help balance that energy. So, yeah, and then at the end of it, we'll have a big all-encompassing video to balance all three of them, or to help you.
After we finish the series.
Yeah, after we finish the series. So
the trifecta.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Bye.